HaShem na'aseh v'natzliach. Shir Torah. First of all, thank you very much for having me. Ashrechem v'ashrech elkechem. The Bnei Torah is a very, very special place. You know, anywhere, any place where there's Bnei Torah, people learn Torah, people are doing whatever they can to fulfill the will of Hashem on a daily basis, not on a once-in-a-while basis. It's a special place. It's a mini Bet HaMikdash. So it's YPLA, it's called, right? YPLA.
Right.
So first and foremost, may Hashem continue to bless you, give you a lot of atzlacha, and ken yirbu. Wherever we have today, B'ezrat Hashem, soon we'll have 100 times more.
Amen.
All of Am Yisrael will join you. All of Am Yisrael will see what it really means to be a Ben Torah. The Gemara says that the Yetzer Hara has 7 names. 7 names. So the question is, why do we care he has 7 names, B'chlal? Hashem calls him Ra, then it's Foni, then all types of names we have. What do I care he has 7 names? Yetzer Hara, Malach HaMavet, Satan. Okay, great, he has names, 7 names, 10 names. He has a lot more than 7 names. But why does the Gemara Masechet Sukkot, he says he has 7 names? Why? It's to remind us that Yetzer Hara, unlike us, he doesn't give up. He doesn't give up. We try to do something. It doesn't work. If we really want it bad enough, we try again. It doesn't work the second time, we really got to want it really bad to try again. After the 3rd time, Zoboti, I'm moving on to something else. Yeah, but it's your marriage. What can I do? I have to find a wife. Yeah, but it's your kid. You can't leave them. Hey, listen, I'll find new kids. Yeah, but it's your career. I'll find new career. We give up. We give up quickly. Yetzer Hara is like a zvuv on your heart. It's like a fly on your heart. What does it mean, fly on your heart? Doesn't matter how many times you shoo him away, it keeps coming back. We have to learn from the Yetzer Hara. We have to learn Mesirut Nefesh from the Yetzer Hara. Hashem says he comes to you in 7 different ways. Meaning, you try to shoo him this way, he's going to come from the other way. You try to shoo him because you close your eyes, he's going to come to you through a thought. Through a thought, he's going to give through a book, through a movie, through a text message. To something he's coming in. Today, Hashem Menachem, there's no place that you look and he's not there already. He's in your phone, he's in the television, he's in the streets, he's in the Kollel, he's in the Bet Knesset, he's sometimes in the rabbi's head, he's sometimes in your head, he's in the wife's head, he's in the kid's head, he's everywhere. So how are we going to win? How are we going to win Yetzer Hara when he's fire and we're barely flesh and blood? How are we going to win? Shem Barach says, Barati Torah, Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati Torah Tavlin. I made Yetzer Hara. He's huge. He's strong. He's smarter than us. He's older than us. There's only 1 kilo. What? Torah Tavlin. Torah. Torah is the potion. Torah is the ingredient that can kill him. Now, in the secular world, Yetzer Hara is not. It's like an imaginary tale. It's like, oh yeah, it's like a fairy tale. You know, you had in cartoons, anyone that used to watch TV, like I used to when I was a little kid, used to watch, you know, in the cartoons, they always had like a little angel on this side, angel on that side. This one was red, this one was white. The red one always said cool stuff, but you're not allowed to do it. The white guy always said any stuff that you really don't want to do, but you kind of have to do. He's the good guy, he's the bad guy. So Yetzer Hara was a cartoon. It's not something real. One time somebody said, the smartest thing that the devil ever did was convince everyone he doesn't exist. Convince everyone he doesn't exist. And the reality is, Rabotai, is that most people do not believe he exists. It's easier to believe in all types of other things in the world. It's easier to believe that the world came from nothing, like these atheists believe, than to believe the Yetzer Hara exists. Why? Because that means that somebody else inside you is influencing your decisions. You want to go to the shiur, but all of a sudden something happens, and you can't go, and you're saying, no, I can't go because something happens. No, Yetzer Hara. No, Yetzer Hara didn't even talk to me. I don't see him. He wasn't there. I couldn't go today. Why can't you go? Because my wife needs me, because my school needs me, because this needs me. That's Yetzer Hara. Somebody came one time to the Satmar Rebbe, alav shalom. He says to him, for the Rab, I need help. What do you need? He says, I need some money for my daughter needs to get married. I don't have any money. She wants a fancy schmancy wedding. I need some money. He goes, no problem. He takes out $10 out of his pocket, and he gives it to him. He goes, Shecha, tzlacha rabba. Obviously, $10 is not going to pay for the wedding. But the guy says, thank you very much for the Rav, I love you, That's it, moves. The next day, he comes back, he says, Kvod Rav, I need help. He goes, what do you need today? He goes, I need money for a dress. He goes, what happened with the wedding? Did you get money for the wedding? He goes, oh yeah, after I get the $10 from you, you wouldn't believe it, Kvod Rav, I raised $50,000 for the wedding. Everything one day. Mamash bracha. Unbelievable. He goes, so what do you need now? You're going to need a dress. He goes, why? Because my daughter, I came home, I told her we have the wedding. She says, I'm not going to have this fancy schmancy wedding unless you get me a $5,000 dress. So the Rebbe says, okay, 1 second. He goes to his safe, he opens the safe, he takes out $5,000. He gives it to him. Hugs, kisses, thank you, I love you, he moves. Now the student is watching his Rebbe, he says, no, Lamdeni, teach me something here. This doesn't make any sense. For the wedding, $50,000, you gave him $10. The chutzpan had the audacity to come back the next day and ask for more. And what? For a dress. Not for the wedding, not for a house, not for a mortgage, for a dress. And not only you give him $5,000. It doesn't make any sense. You know what you could have done with the money for the Rav? You could have given it to Avrechim. You could have given it to the Kollel. You could have given it to the Kiruv organization. You could have given it to the Almanot, Yetomim. Oh, how many people you could have given it? You know how many people could have helped? You could have helped benefited out of it. Your family, your kids. What? He says, you know what? You're right. Everything you said, I also thought about. The Avrechim, the Kollel, the Kiruv, the Almanot, the Yetomim, all of that. But then I thought to myself, how come I only thought about that now, after I have another mitzvah in front of me, to make a kala happy? If it came before, then a mitzvah. But if now that it came after I have another mitzvah, that means it's a satan. It's a mitzvah from the satan. Satan wants me to make the mitzvah of the kollel and the kiruv and everything else now. Why? Because I have another mitzvah that right now is more important. Right now the mitzvah that I have to do is make the bride happy. If I would have thought about it beforehand, then that's the mitzvah that Hashem wants me to do. But now that it's getting in the way of another mitzvah, Yetzirah gets even involved in your mitzvot. Even your mitzvot, you need to be careful. So now, most of my life, none of this information was even remotely a thought, bichlal. I knew that there was a God, but it was my own version of God. Like most people believe in God, even if they call themselves atheists. It's just the atheist is telling you, I have a God that doesn't tell me what to do. Atheist simply tells you he doesn't want anyone to tell him what to do. That's what he wants. That's the belief. So most of my life I had that version. I wasn't an atheist. I believed in God. I said Shema Yisrael. I did Birkat HaMazon once in a while. But as far as Shabbat, kosher, all these different things, I was an elective. When I can, I can. When I can't, I can't. Most of that time, I couldn't. So we came to the U.S. when I was 10 years old. And got into school. I did good in school. We already started working. My father always said that if you want something, you have to go get it yourself. So we already started working very young while going to school. By the time I was 17, 18 years old, I was already making $100,000 a year from sales of electronic stuff and all types of things. But it still wasn't enough for me. Because the Gemara says, you give somebody 100, he wants 200. You give him 200, how much does he want? 400. And the Gemara Masechet Sukkot says, no one ever dies with even half of what he wants. Maybe you didn't even get the first half. You don't even achieve the first half. So I realized I'm making, but it's not enough. I want more. Okay, how are you going to make more? I'm 17, 18 years old. I went to college. I did good in college. I had almost a perfect GPA. But then I realized that everybody around me is wasting their life. They're not interested in partying. I'm interested in making money. The two don't match. So I decided college is not for me. I don't want to be in college for the next 7, 8 years. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. I just want to make money. So I left college and I joined Wall Street. I joined a couple of different firms in the beginning, trying to find my way. Unfortunately, when you're trying to find your way, all of the leeches in the business world try to suck the blood out of you as much as they possibly can. That's the real world. They all have a nice smile while they're sucking their blood, don't. They all call themselves your friend. They're helping you. They're doing you a favor. All that stuff. So anyway, I joined Wall Street, started learning about how to make money in the stock market, how to get clients, and so on and so forth. After about 3 years of paying my dues and working for other people, I finally had the opportunity to become independent within a company. So I was working for a company called Raymond James, and they told me that the partner that I had, which really wasn't a partner, he was a thief. I did all the work, he took all the money, and then after 2 months when I finally asked for the money, he gave me a check for $81.12. I made a copy of the check and I left it as a memory for the rest of my life. And I showed all the employees that I ever had after that. I'm like, this is what I made for the first 2 months. So don't complain. You're making more than $81. So anyway, after that, I told him I want to be on my own. I want to be independent. I don't want to have a boss. I don't want to have a partner. I don't want to have anything. I just want to do my own thing. I've already been in the business for 3 years. Let me be. He's like, listen, that's a nice thought. It's a nice theory. It's nice ambition. You're young and ambitious. Great, but I still need to make money. So you have to make sure that every single month I have $4,000 in my bank account automatically. He says, do you have the money? I said, no. He said, how are you going to get it? I said, I don't know. But I'm not going to go somewhere else and start this whole rigmarole again. So let me just figure it out over here. He says, no problem. He goes, what's your intentions here? I said, to buy you out. Now imagine I'm 21 years old, and this guy's in the business for 20 years, and this little kid with the cuckoo is telling him I'm going to buy you out. He found it amusing. He's like, all right, go ahead, no. Give the kid a try. As long as this $4,000 shows up every month, it doesn't make a difference if I show up or not, just as long as the $4,000 shows up. First 6 months were very difficult. First 6 months, every single penny that I made went to his account. Nothing went to me. I had to borrow $1 from this kid, Dimitri, every day in order to buy 50-cent coffee and 50-cent donut. That was my food for the day. Once in a while, I would spoil myself for my second job, and I would buy some bologna. This is how I lived for 6 months. Every day I had to leave the house at around 5:30 in the morning, get to work by 6:30, read the news, start making phone calls at 8, because that was the earliest you're allowed to do it legally, and call until midnight. No breaks, no fancy schmancy lunches. I couldn't afford it anyway. 9 to 12 every day. And the only reason I stopped at 12 was because I couldn't call anywhere else in the U.S. because California time is 9 o'clock. After 9 o'clock, you're not allowed to call. Finish work at 12. Catch the bus at around 1. Read some news, prepare for the next day. Catch the bus at around 1. Get home at around 2. Sleep for a couple of hours. Do the same thing all over again the next day. The rest of the world thought I was insane. But I had a dream. After 6 months, I finally collected my first $1,000 in my pocket. To me, it was $1 million. Now, all this time, the only way I'm surviving is because I have a second job. Selling electronics, wheeling and dealing, doing different things on the side so I could afford, because I was already on my own. Even though I was young, I was already on my own. I had my own apartment, had my own car. I was already on my own. So it wasn't like, hey, Abba, Ima, I need money for rent. Nothing like that. Like today's generation that Abba and Ima provide a little, give people binkies when they're 30 years old, didn't work for me. Sometimes if I had extra money, I'd help Abba and Ima if it was needed. That's my generation. That's our life. That's how we were. That's how we were brought up. This generation, unfortunately, is very different. 30-year-olds are still getting binkies. They complain to Abba and Ima because their first car is not a brand new Benz. It's only a brand new Toyota. One time somebody showed me a video, a kid got a new car, but it wasn't a new car. It was like a used truck. To show his satisfaction with this truck, his first car, he took a baseball bat and started smashing the car to pieces. It's not good enough. That's this generation, Rabbatai. That's this generation. We're a generation of ungrateful people. We don't understand how difficult it is to make $1, how difficult it is to survive, how difficult it is to do everything. So sometimes Hashem reminds us. Sometimes it's our own skin, sometimes it's our own parents. But the point is, Rabbatai, it's not easy in the world, as you all know already. So after 6 months, I finally made $1,000. The next month, I made 5,000. Next month, I made 7. Next month, I made about 10. Then 17. And then November of 2002, which was approximately a year after I became independent, I made $117,000 in a month. So that changed everything. I took about $60,000 or $70,000. I put a down payment on my parents' house so they finally have their own house instead of renting and getting kicked out every year like we did for the first 20 years being in this country. We got a house. I put a down payment on renting an apartment in the city. And I bet everything that I was going to continue to succeed. And it worked. I continued working hard. Every month became much bigger, 50, 100, 150,000, and so on. By August of 2003, another year later, I became the number 3 producing broker in the entire country for that company, Raymond James, which had about 5,000, maybe 6,000 brokers. The average the average time frame on the top 25 list, had 20, 25 years more in the business than me. Everybody asked, who is this guy? Where did he come from? How long is he in the business? When they found out I'm only in the business for a few years, they started thinking there's something wrong. The president of the company, which is a public company, it's a big company, multi-billion-dollar company, called the office. He's like, who is this guy? He's like, oh, he works hard. He goes, yeah, everybody works hard. How does he make it? Does he have insider information? Is he doing something illegal? It didn't make any sense how this guy is new. He's barely got out of his own diapers, and now he's making this money. How does it make any sense? It didn't make any sense to anybody. When he started telling him my schedule, then it's okay. Yeah, something. Why does he work so much? So I realized at that point that I have to make a decision. I'm either going to be part of the system or I'm going to create my own. When you're part of corporate America, when you're part of the corporate world in general, you have to learn how to get along. You have to know that there's a certain system. There's a system in play. You have to just get along with it. If you work for a big company, there's a certain system. You have to get along. I didn't want to get along. I wanted my own system, so I left. Started my own company, started hiring some people. Within a short period of time, we continued growing. Started making, on a bad month, $200,000, maybe $250,000, sometimes more. Everything was wonderful when it came to material. I didn't really care for material things, though. I cared for competition. I was never one of those people that bought fancy schmancy watches and cars and all these different things that people spend their money on. I never did it. I spend my money on a few things. One is helping people, because for whatever reason or another, they didn't have and I did, so here, have some. Anybody had a problem, they just come to me. They would start telling me their story. Since my time was very valuable according to my calculations, I told them, listen, how much does your problem cost? He goes, no, but let me tell you. I'm like, it doesn't make a difference. How much does it cost? $3,000. Okay, so I write him a check for $3,000. Good luck to you. That's how you solve problems in my world at that time. Didn't make a difference what the problem was. He had a problem. He needed help. Here's the money. What difference does it make? You have a problem. I have the money. You have a problem. Solve the problem. Why? Because money, if you look at it the right way, is no different than the hammer you have in your toolbox. If you look at money as anything different than a hammer, you have a problem. It's called idolatry. In the US dollar bill, it says, in God we trust. In God we trust. The problem is not the sentence. The sentence is right. In God we trust. The problem is not the sentence. What's the problem? Most people that think that the God they're talking about is the dollar. That's the problem. If you're chasing the dollar to such an extent that you're willing to sell your soul, that as soon as somebody needs help, you close the door. As soon as some big expense comes, you get nervous. As soon as something unethical comes, you're like, listen, how much money is in it for me? And you actually even consider it. It's called idolatry. You're worshiping the money more than Hashem Yitbarach. Baruch Hashem, that's something I never had a tikkun. Never had a problem with that. Hashem didn't make me that way. So if somebody had a problem, that's what I use my money for. Second thing is I like to invest. I invested for other people. I invested for myself. I was my own biggest client. I invested in the stock market. But most of my money was made by running the company and having clients. Millionaire clients from all over the world. Materially, everything was wonderful. I found a woman that was extraordinary. She was a genius. She was my trader. She knew my business, so she understood me. And I decided this is the woman that I want to marry. There's only one problem. She wasn't Jewish. Other than that, she was perfect.
Sometimes for $2 you can change that too.
But since I wasn't an unethical person, I said, listen, I'm going to make her... People would tell me, don't you want to marry Jew? Don't you want to do? You're Israeli, you're this, you're that. I said, listen, what am I going to tell her to do stuff I'm not doing? That's a hypocrite. What am I going to tell her to go keep Shabbat? I don't keep Shabbat. Tell her to go eat kosher? I don't eat kosher. I eat kosher when it's convenient. Okay, so I'm not eating pig and I'm not eating cheeseburgers. I'm not that guy. I'm not reform. But I eat pizza outside. I eat salads in a non-kosher place. I eat certain things. I'm not going to tell her you have to do something I'm not willing to do. If she wants to be Jewish, that's her problem. She has to do it on her own. I'm not going to tell somebody to do something that I'm not doing. Hypocrite, I'm not. Everything else was perfect. HaShem Yitbarach says, Ki shtayim ra'ot asami. It says to the prophet Jeremiah, my people committed two evils. They've forsaken me, the source of all living water, to dig for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that cannot hold water. So HaShem Yitbarach says to the prophet Jeremiah in chapter 2, verse 13, he says, Am Yisrael made two sins against me. First, they forsaken me, meaning they made a sin. Violated Shabbat, ate non-kosher, whatever it is. They did something against me. That's already bad enough. I said, but there's two problems. Not only did they eat non-kosher, or violated Shabbat, or look at a woman that's not their wife, and so on and so forth. Not only they did that, but they replaced me with a broken cistern, meaning they found a way to justify it. They found a way to rationalize and make themselves look good doing it. Now, listen, you know the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't drive on Shabbat? He didn't have a car. That's why he didn't drive on Shabbat. You know why Moshe Rabbeinu had so much, kosher food? Because everybody in Am Yisrael was a royal son. Everybody was a shepherd. What was he going to do? He had an inn. He was in the business. That's why he ate kosher. Everybody tries to justify why they were able to do it 3,000 years ago, but today it's impossible. It's a difficult generation, and so on and so forth. I tell you a story, a real story happened to me on Shabbat. I come out of the shul, and this guy comes to me and goes, oh, listen, I'm sorry I missed the lectures last week. Okay, fine. Know what happened. Because I have to ask you something. I said, okay. He's like, yeah, but it's kind of business related. So, business related. He's a religious guy. He's a frum guy. Allowed to talk business, not allowed to talk business on Shabbat. Not allowed to talk business on Shabbat. It's Chilul Shabbat. Chilul Shabbat, not allowed to talk on Shabbat. Business in reality today, 99% of business is talking. I made $20 million talking. Talking. That's business. Business is not building. There's only a few people in the world that actually work with their hands. Most business is talking. The owners talk. The salesmen talk. Most of the business conducted in the world is talking. When you talk business on Shabbat, you are violating Shabbat. Don't let anybody fool you. Don't let the Yetzirah come back to... No, he's talking about a mitzvah. What mitzvah? His business. No, his business gives ma'aser. The Yetzirah convinces us that it's a mitzvah to talk business. So the guy says, oh, yeah, it's business. You know what? For Kvod Shabbat, this is what he says to me. For Kvod Shabbat, I have to ask you something. I said, okay, Kvod Shabbat. What is Kvod Shabbat? He says, so listen, the stock market. Do you have experience in the stock? We start talking about business on Shabbat. So now I have two options. I could rebuke him, but he's not going to listen anyway, because he actually thinks that he's making a mitzvah right now. How is he going to? He's not going to listen to me. He's telling me the stock market, I'm trying to invest, but I don't know who to invest with. And this guy says this, and this guy says this, and this guy says this. So rebuking him, at that point, this guy is living in a different planet. Rebuking him is not going to work. So I have to work something else. So I said, okay. You want an answer? I said, somebody asked the Chafetz Chaim the same exact question. He goes, really, Be'emet? I said, yes. With stock market and everything, same thing. So what's the question? Somebody came to the Chafetz Chaim and he said to him, Kvod Harav, I need to make more money, so I'm starting a new business. So the Chafetz Chaim answers him, so why do you want to start a business? He goes, no, Kvod Harav, I'm starting a new business so I can make more money. He goes, okay, so you want to make more money? He goes, yeah. So why are you starting a new business? He says, no. The business is to make more money. Okay, so you want more money? Yes. So why is the new business? So he thought that the Chafetz Chaim was not understanding, only he didn't know that Chafetz Chaim understands better than him. Chafetz Chaim is trying to tell him, what makes you think that if you start a new business, you're going to make more money? Who told you you're going to make more money from this new business? What is it like? It's somebody that has a barrel of wine. He says, I'm only making $1,000 a month from this barrel of wine. I need to make more money. So what does he do? He makes another opening to the same barrel. At the end of the month, he still makes $1,000. He says, there's something wrong with the barrel. I have to make another opening. So now he has 3 openings to the same barrel. At the end of the month, he makes the same $1,000. He says to the Kvod Harav, something's wrong with my barrel. I don't know, do a bracha, do something, zgula, something. He goes, no. You're trying to make more money from the same barrel, just giving it different openings. The well doesn't change. The well is Shamayim. The Gemara in Masechet Beitzah, page 16a, Rosh Hashanah 16b. It says Hashem Yitbarach decides how much money you're going to make on Rosh Hashanah until Rosh Hashanah. It doesn't make a difference what career you have. It doesn't make a difference if you're a stockbroker or you're some other type of entrepreneur or you're anything else. It makes no difference what you do. I know plenty of millionaires that make money from garbage and plenty of people that are broke selling houses. Naturally, for the Goyim, yes. But for Am Yisrael, what you're obligated to do is to believe that Hashem is the one that's providing parnasah. Doesn't make a difference.
How do I believe that?
The Gemara says, Hashem decides how much you're going to make. He decides. From Rosh Hashanah until Rosh Hashanah. So the Baal Shem Tov asks, wait a minute. If the Gemara says that he decides only on Rosh Hashanah how much I'm going to make, then why does the Mishnah that preceded the Gemara ask or say that he actually judges also every day? If he already decided on Rosh Hashanah, why is he deciding every day? He already decided. Well, he changed his mind every day. So one day, the Baal Shem Tov sees a person that's carrying water for a living, moves water. In those days, it wasn't like today's fountain water or fountains and everything. You just turn on the water and water comes to you. In those days, you had to move water. So people were in that business. So this guy was carrying heavy water every day for 20 years. The Baal Shem Tov says, so how are you? He says, Baruch Hashem, I have a good business, I have a wife, I have a kid, everything, Baruch Hashem, very good. Okay, Beseder. The next day, nothing much has changed. The weather is still hot. The water is still heavy. The wife is still the same wife, and the kids haven't changed. Yes, the Baal Shem Tov asked him, how are you? He said, Hashem Rachem Kvod Harav, what a difficult job I have. I don't know why I have this kaparat avonot. This water is so heavy, and it's so hot outside, and my kids don't stop screaming, I can't sleep at night, and my wife doesn't stop complaining, she wants a new this, and a new this, and a new this. It's so difficult, Kvod Harav. He says, Baruch Hashem, you give me a chidush. He goes, I give you a chidush, I'm carrying water for a living for 20 years. What chidush do I even have in my brain? He goes, no, I've been asking myself, if Hashem already decided on Rosh Hashanah how much parnasah I'm going to make, why does he decide every day also? And you gave me the chidush. On Rosh Hashanah, he decides how much I'm going to make. Every day, he decides how I'm going to make it. You can make it from your job, or Shem Erachem, you can make it from an accident. Some guy was fired from a job, he thought that he lost his life savings. The next day, he got into a car accident, and he found out that it was the other guy's fault, and now the lawyer said, minimum you're going to get is $10 million. Now, anyone says, wow, good deal, is an idiot. Why? Because you don't know the rest of the story. The guy got into an accident, Rabotai. You really want that kind of parnasah? One time I said this story, and a guy says, well, it's a good deal. Guy hit by a bus, he gets $15 million. I said, yes, but he lost his ability to walk. He goes, yeah, but at least he has the money. This is the Yetzirah at work at full force. Mamash makes us metumtamim, makes us retarded. We think that the money is more important than the ability to walk. Why do we think such a thing? Only people that have never suffered pain think such a thing. Most people that think that such a living is good is because they never suffered even a fingernail pain. Baruch Hashem, as it says in the beginning of the 3rd chapter of Eicha, I know suffering. I'm an expert in suffering. Because on November 18th of 2006, Hashem gave me a shiur. I decided I'm going to have an elective surgery. I had hemorrhoids. It was bothering me a couple of times a year. I went to a doctor who was an expert in the business for almost 20 years. He told me that this is a problem that 2/3 of the population has. It's not really a big deal. He does 2-3 surgeries a day. I said, okay, fine. This seems simple enough. How much time does it take? He goes, no, it's no time. You come in the morning, you leave the same day. So I can go back to work. He goes, now you're going to be a little uncomfortable for a few days. Which, by the way, anytime a doctor tells you uncomfortable means pain. It's just uncomfortable for him to watch you. So he lets you go. Or something says, you're going to feel a little pressure. Pressure means, oh yay. Oy vey means, that's pressure. So anyway, I said, how long am I going to be out of work? I'm making $3,200 an hour. $3,200 an hour, a day off of work is a lot of money. He says, listen, you're going to come on Wednesday, you go back to work on Monday. I said, okay, it's worth it. I just made $1.6 million a month before. It's a lot of money for a kid. So I said, okay, I can take off a few days. So I took off a day. I went to the hospital. It was in Brooklyn, New York. I went to sleep, and I woke up somebody else. Life changed. I went to sleep perfectly healthy with hemorrhoids that bothered me twice a year. I woke up something completely different. What does it mean something different? You go to sleep, Baruch HaShem, say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Maybe if you do Shema Lamita, you do Tachnun, do Tshuva before you go to sleep. Because technically, according to the Gemara Masechet Brachot, it says that sleep is 1/60th of a death. So you're supposed to do Tshuva before you die. And when you wake up in the morning, it says, Modeh ani lefanecha. Thank you, Hashem. Why? It's Tchiyat HaMetim. You revive the dead. Now, but you wake up in the morning, Baruch Hashem, I'm assuming that everybody wakes up with maybe a little tired, but Baruch Hashem, you're not screaming. You're not yelling. See, Baruch Hashem, everything's here, the arms, the legs. If you're married, the wife. If you have kids, the kids. Everybody's there in the same bed, everything's there on your head. But Baruch Hashem, say Modeh ani. I didn't wake up that way. I woke up with pain. Now, I can't really make you feel it. Baruch Hashem, I like you. I'm not going to make you feel it even if I could. But I could give you a visual. You ever see those hunters? They have these big knives, like daggers. Okay, so imagine one of those big daggers connected to an electric outlet and cutting off over and over again without an end. That's what I felt all over my entire body. As if somebody was cutting me non-stop. And I'm electrocuted at the same time. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, begging them to kill me and get me out of my misery. Something went wrong with the surgery. It's been 12 years, almost 13 years. Until this day, no one knows what. I went to the best doctors in the world. They were dumbfounded. And dumb too. So, there's a reason why the Gemara says the best of doctors goes to Gehenom. I met him. So now, the real reason is because the best of doctors prays for Parnassah like the rest of us. So when the doctor's praying for Parnassah, he's also praying for people to be sick. So now, Rabotai Yekarim, I woke up screaming my lungs out to no end. My mom and my wife are there. I'm asking both of them to kill me. They don't want to listen. And they start giving me morphine. More morphine, more morphine, more morphine, more morphine. Eventually it gets to a point where the doctor in the hospital says, I'm sorry to my wife. I'm too busy yelling, so he's not talking to me. So he says to my wife, I'm sorry, ma'am, this is the most amount of morphine we're legally allowed to give to a human being. All other people would have died by now. This is what we give usually to like animals, to horses. It's not normal for people. But he's not taking it. His body is rejecting it. He's not. So he asked her, is he a drug addict? She goes, no, he's actually anti-drugs. He's never tried a drug in his life. He's against drugs. I actually helped some of my employees go to rehab and so on. I hated drugs. Anything that affects your brain is terrible for you. There's a reason why the Gemara says that Hashem Yitbarach loves certain people. One type of person he loves, some person never gets drunk. Never gets. Why he likes them? Because you never let anyone mess with your brain. Yetzer Hara is already messing with your brain as it is. Now you give him a hint. People think, oh no, I'm smoking a little weed just for fun. It relaxes me. Oh, relax. Good luck dealing with the Yetzer Hara after. Starts with marijuana, then it goes to somewhere else. No, I'm only there for the last couple of years. Eventually it happens. Everybody is a crackhead starts with marijuana. No one starts with crack on day one. No one starts crackhead. Everybody starts with marijuana. Then it's a pill. Then it's a this. Then it's a mushroom. Then it's a this. I saw a lot of them. And unfortunately, many of them died. They all started with marijuana. No, I have a backache. Okay, I have a backache. Take an Advil. No, but there's permission. It's allowed. It's a this. Okay, so if you really, really want to use the scientific evidence that shows that there's a benefit, there's a medicinal benefit to marijuana, okay, so take the one that doesn't have an effect on your brain. The CBE or CBD or something like that it's called. CBD. Sheikha. Take the CBD. Okay, you want to use the medicinal benefit? Fine, no problem. It's no different than a painkiller. Why do you have to take the one that affects your brain too? There's a reason why Rav Moshe Feinstein, alav Shalom, says that someone that smokes marijuana is no different than a ben soer umoret. Why? He's electively choosing to remove himself from the obligation of mitzvot. Because once you're considered a shoteh, once you're drunk, once you're high, you can't do mitzvot. You can't go shul, you can't pray. So if you're doing it on purpose, Shem Rachem. So my wife tells him he never tried anything. He never did anything. He hates it. He says, then I don't know. He should donate his body to science. We have no idea what to do, but this is the most amount of morphine we're allowed to give him legally. Oh, Hashem had mercy on me. It finally worked. My body started calming down. Within a short period of time, meaning a few hours, the hospital said, okay, listen, I think you're okay. Whatever happened, happened. You're fine. Go home. It's an elective surgery. There's no bed reserved for you. Go home. On the way home, we go to pick up some shualma. We eat the sandwich shualma at the house. I tell everybody good night. It's been a very interesting day. I got a nice show of what Gehenom looks like. But I'm thinking it's over. I go to sleep. I wake up 45 minutes later, screaming worse than I did the first time. Only difference is, it doesn't stop this time. For 62 days. Not 2 hours, not 3 hours. 62 days. 62 days of screaming and yelling, pain 24 hours a day, the type of pain that you can't even imagine. If you want to imagine it, you should watch my lecture about Gehenom. It gives you somewhat of a picture. But the reality is that I thought that this is the end. Why? My body started failing. My eyes started bleeding, my ears started bleeding, I started urinating blood, my body started dying. No one knows why. Because none of it is related to the surgery. Surgery is hemorrhoids. It has nothing to do with my eyes, it has nothing to do with my ears, it has nothing to do with urine, it has nothing to do with anything else. In essence, it's supposed to be a superficial surgery. But Hashem runs the world. For those 2 months, the most amount of consecutive sleep I was able to get was 15 minutes. And that's after taking anywhere from 20 to 50 painkillers. Now once you go on an extended period of time of not sleeping, unless you're David HaMelech, that slept for 15 minutes, you start dying. Your body starts failing, your liver starts failing, your heart starts failing, everybody starts failing. So they were telling my wife, my mom, listen, he's dying, we have no idea what to do with him. We're sorry. What else are we going to do? You want help? Call Moshe Rabbeinu. What are you going to do? After 2 months, Baruch Hashem, things started settling down. My body started coming back to itself to some extent. There was still a lot of pain, but it started becoming somewhat tolerable. By tolerable, I mean I only had to take 25 painkillers a day. I was able to walk, let's say, for example, from here to the door would take about 5 seconds to a normal human being. For me, it would take about 10 minutes. But I started going back to work. I started going back to using my brain again. Started going back to regular life. Thinking that it's over. Little by little, things started improving. My health started improving. Things started going back to this. You know, it was just a distant memory. 9 months later, I feel a pain in the back of my leg. By the next day, I can't move. I have to go to the emergency room. The doctors at the emergency room say that I have an infection in between two muscles that's so big that it's about to pop, and if it popped, I would die within an hour. Because it would go into my blood system, it's complete poison, and so on and so forth. No good. Lo kasher. So I have to have an emergency surgery, more difficult than the first surgery. Because the recovery for this one is very interesting. Since it's an infection, the only way to remove it is by leaving the surgery open and reopening it every day. So when somebody has a surgery, they cut him up, and then they stitch him up. And he heals. The blood clots, he heals over time. But when they cut you up and they leave it open and they reopen it every day, it's a very interesting level of pain. So I had to be in the ICU unit for 3 weeks, next to the people that were dying from all types of interesting things. I'm screaming, they're screaming, we're comparing screams. After that, nice shiur. I'm released, I go back to life, recover, again. 6 months later, another pain, another side, completely unrelated to the first two. I'm back in the hospital, I'm back in the ICU unit, I'm back in a surgery, I'm back under a knife, and all this wonderful things that I just told you, again. It's a repeat. It's like you read Parashat Shavua 2 weeks in a row. After that 6 months, it's finished, right? No. 3 months later, I'm back in the hospital. Have you guys noticed the time is getting shorter between the breaks? After those 3 months, I'm back in the hospital. After that recovery, next month. And then it becomes every month. Then it gets to a point that I have to be at a doctor or a hospital every single week. All of the infections, all of the surgeries are completely unrelated one to the other. Everyone tried to make a connection, but they couldn't. And then the rest of my body starts to act up. One day my legs start hurting. The next day they poof and magically double in size. I'm not able to walk. I go to the hospital. The best doctor in that hospital told me maybe it's from the heat. I told him maybe your brain swelled up from the heat. But legs don't swell up from heat like this. I don't need to be a doctor to know that. So yeah, I don't have anything else. I said, you should go to school for another 20 years. I didn't tolerate people with stupidity very much. Especially when you're in pain. There's not really much patience. So there's nothing they could do for me. I had to go home. And for the next year and a half, I had to walk with a cane. Some young guy from the building that I was working at, thought that my cane was a fashion statement, so he got himself a cane too. Tim, you should feel like me, then walk a cane. So anyway, this didn't last for a year. Didn't last for 2 years. Didn't last for 3 years. 7 years. 7 years of going from doctor to doctor, over 50 different doctors. The best, the worst, anything in between. Traditional medicine, holistic medicine, steroids like the athletes take, that's $2,000 a shot that you have to take every day. Ozone treatment that makes you feel like you're taking chemotherapy 2, 3, 4 times a week. Every time you take it, you feel like you're dying for the next couple of hours. All types of things. Try anything. Because now it's no longer a pain from the bottom half of the body. Now the pain is from my neck down. Everything. 24 hours a day. And once in a while, maybe every 45 minutes to an hour, I would get an electric shock at some odd place in my body. My arm, my leg, my chest, my private parts, somewhere. Electric shock as if literally I'm connected to the wall. It would be very, very uncomfortable to sit next to me. Because once in a while I'm sitting next to you and you're talking and I'm talking, and all of a sudden you start seeing me shake and screaming in pain. So it became very uncomfortable for me to watch your face. I was dealing with the pain. It's uncomfortable having the pain. But it's even more uncomfortable to see your look. So I became antisocial for obvious reasons. I stopped seeing people. I was somewhat of a recluse, especially when I didn't feel well. But eventually got to a point where I really didn't want to live much. 7 years of dealing with this with no end in sight. My business went to the toilet. Everything that went, in the beginning, I turned dust into gold. At least that's what I thought. Now the gold was turning back into dust. The market crashed. My business crashed. My friends became enemies. Everyone that could steal stole. The line's down, so everybody grabs whatever they can. I never cared for money. I liked the competition, but now I couldn't even compete anymore. But even more so than ever, I realized that all the money in the world that I had was now completely worthless. Why? It couldn't buy me a cure. There was a guy that was worth north of $7 billion before he died. His name was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was an atheist. He knows God really well now. Now, why did Steve Jobs die? He had $7 billion. With $7 billion, you should be able to buy 2 lives.
I didn't create a cancer.
He couldn't buy a new liver. He couldn't buy a new pancreas. He couldn't buy a new anything. Only Hashem. Only Hashem can provide him. He tried. He got one. It didn't work. The second one failed. He died. The point is, Abutai, all the money in the world cannot replace Rofei Kol Basar Umafli La'asot. It cannot replace Hashem Yitbarach. That's the healer of all. That's the doctor of all. It cannot replace. Now, all of you are chasing the dream, like everyone else. The question is, what is that dream? If you're chasing money, you're chasing the wrong dream. And the reason why is because you're thinking that money is going to give you something that it can't. You think it's going to give you health? It can't. You think it's going to give you happiness? It can't. Why do we chase money? We chase money because we want something that we don't have, because we think that what we don't have is going to make us happy. Shlomo HaMelech already told us 3,000 years ago he had it. He had all the money in the world. He had all the desires, all the things that you could possibly imagine. Women, money, power, everything. He says, Evil Avalim. It's all shtuyot. It's all nonsense. Now, who's going to listen to Shlomo HaMelech 3,000 years later? Everyone has an excuse. The same Yetzirah is telling him, no. In his day, he didn't need it. In his day, there was no need for cars, no need for big houses, no need for this. No, he was the king. You could say, well, I'm not Shlomo HaMelech or even a dust under a shoe. But I could tell you that I've met a lot of millionaires. That was my job. My job was to deal with millionaires, in some cases, a few billionaires. That was my business. If you weren't a millionaire, there was no conversation. There's no point. I can't do business with you. That was my job. I met many of them. And every single one of them, to no end, was miserable. Every single one of them. They had moments of happiness when they went on vacation, and they bought a new car, and they bought a new house, and they bought a new business, and they did some deal. They had moments of happiness. Everybody has moments of happiness. Even the homeless guy that has nothing, he has moments of happiness too. But it's not happiness. Because the moments of happiness that we consume ourselves with is based on something material. And that material, the feeling of the material pleasure goes away. It goes away. A minute later, an hour later, a week later, a month later, finished. It's finished at some point. Why is it finished? Because real happiness is a spiritual feeling. You cannot satiate something spiritual with something material. At least not permanently. Happiness is a spiritual feeling. It's not something, you can't make somebody happy by giving him the best car in the world. You can't make somebody happy by giving him a new house or money or whatever it is. You can't. I knew this even as a secular person. But I like to chase. But now I can't chase. Now there's a bunch of zebras around me and I can't even chase them. It made me feel like, because I have no point. I have no happiness from here. I have no happiness from there. I have no happiness. I don't want to live. Now Hashem also promised us that He's not going to give us a test that we can't pass. So, at that moment, I started thinking all types of crazy thoughts. My mom started calling rabbis she saw that her son is something wrong with him more than usual. Started calling rabbis maybe to get a blessing. The typical Sephardic mom or Ashkenazi mom always have a book of different rabbis' rabbis' names. The Ashkenazi has the rabbis from Ashkenaz, the Sephardi has the ones from Sephardic, and when there's tzarot, we have both. We call anybody. We're all together. When there's problems, we're all united. When there's no problems, we call, oh, no, I'm only keeping me Sephardi, Ashkenazi. When there's problems, we call everybody. Who's going to answer? So she started calling everyone she can. For almost 2 hours, she's calling the U.S., she's calling Israel. 2 hours, no one's answering. So imagining you're desperate, you're crying, you feel like your son's dying. She doesn't know what's going on in my head, but she knows what's going on in my body, at least to some extent. She starts calling, 2 hours, no one answers. Finally, someone in Israel answers. A woman in Israel answers. Says, hello, and I'm looking for Rabbi so-and-so. She goes, I'm sorry, ma'am, in Hebrew. Wrong number. My mom breaks down. Starts crying to this strange woman on the phone. Because she finally got somebody on the phone after 2 hours, and she got a wrong number in a wrong country. Shtabach Shemolad, Hashem shows a person sometimes he's the one running the show. When Avraham Avinu was looking for God, came out of the cave as a little boy, he said, maybe God is the sun. But then he saw the sun go down and the moon come up. He said, oh, maybe God is the moon. But then he saw it's replaced again. Maybe it's the sky. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. And then it says, Hashem peeked in, and it says, hey, I'm the Baal Habayit. You looking for me? It's my place, my show. You looking for me? I'm here. Sometimes Hashem is going to say, hey, are you looking for me? I'm here. Sefer Dvarim says, if you look for me, you'll find me. If you look for me with all of your heart and all of your soul. Hashem knew that we're looking for him. We just didn't know where to look. My mom was looking through phone numbers. So Hashem said, oh, you're looking for me? He made sure we knew. How? That woman, the wrong phone number in Israel, says, wrong number. My mom starts crying, and then the woman says, Doris, which is my mom's name. She says, whoa, she got scared like you guys just got scared. Wait, how do you know my name? She goes, well, I'm your niece. Niece? Yeah, I'm your brother's sister, Penina. It's like, how did I get to you? I don't have your phone number. We've never spoken on the phone before. They didn't have each other's phone number. The best question is, how does she recognize her voice? There's 8 billion people in the world. I mean, somebody calls you, even if he's your best friend from 20 years ago, you're going to recognize his voice? Probably not. I was in the phone business. That's what I did. I made phone calls all day to make sales. I don't recognize people's voices all the time. Unless my wife yelling at me, then I recognize that. But the reality is that she recognized her voice because Hashem says, hello, I'm running the show. Rabotai, you looking? I'm here. So she says to her, why are you crying? She says, my son is dying. I'm looking for a rabbi to give him a blessing. She goes, well, why don't you call Rabbi Ephraim, my brother? He's Talmid Chacham. And he also happens to live two buildings down from Rabbi Vadia, alav shalom. When he was still alive. He could connect you to Rabbi Vadia, something. He'll talk to me? Of course I'll talk to you. Or you're Doda Doris. You're the Aunt Doris from America. Give me the phone number. She calls Rabbi Ephraim. Rabbi Ephraim is in a call like you guys. He's studying, but he gets the message from his wife. He calls my mom back. My mom starts telling him the story. She starts crying. The whole thing that we do. We cry, we talk, we cry, we talk, and so on. Sometimes we just cry and then we talk. So Rabbi Ephraim only asks one question. Does he speak Hebrew? Because Rabbi Ephraim doesn't speak English. Now, I never knew Rabbi Ephraim existed. When I left Israel, he was a baby. He was younger than I am. We never talked. I never went back to Israel since we came to the U.S. I didn't know he existed. Especially, he's in a completely different corner of the world. He's in Avrech, Kollel, Kodesh Kodeshim. I'm in the Tumah. What am I? I'm in Wall Street with, there's the Egel HaZahav at the end of Wall Street. Be'emet, there really is. You go on top of Wall Street, there's Egel HaZahav there. It's Egel HaZahav on top of Wall Street. There's a building across my apartment that on the top of the building is a pyramid of Egypt. The building next to it has the corners of every building. It's the face of Paro. Now, I didn't see this when I was living on the 35th floor when it was all in front of me. After we did tshuva, your vision starts getting clearer. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Paro. Wait a minute, it's a pyramid. Wait a minute, it's Egel Zahav. Wait a minute, I'm in Egypt. You don't realize you're in the garbage until you're outside. Why does the rat eat garbage? He doesn't realize it's garbage. You start feeding the rat some steaks, after a while, he doesn't want the garbage anymore. Why does the guy sometimes you have public bathrooms, you have a guy that works in the bathroom. It smells terrible, but he's whistling. He's whistling, he's having a good time, he's having a sandwich. Everything is good. But it smells terrible, you want to die. As soon as you want to do your thing, it smells terrible, you want to die instead. But he's whistling, eating his steak sandwich. Why? He got used to the smell. He doesn't realize it's disgusting. You bring him outside, you have a conversation with him, you go back and say, oh, senor, it's terrible. Yeah, why? You went outside for a second, you realized it's disgusting. We do tshuva, you start realizing that the world that we chase is disgusting. The girl that's not allowed to you is disgusting. She's not a bad person, but the acts that she's doing is disgusting. The money that's illegal is disgusting. Money you need, but when it's against Hashem, it's disgusting. Rabban Gamliel says, a person should never say, I don't want to eat milk and meat. It's not true. You want to eat milk and meat. You should say, I want to eat milk and meat, but what can I do that my Father in heaven says no? What can I do? My Father in heaven said no. I want to eat pig. I want to eat milk and meat. I want to drive on Shabbat. You drive the rest of the week. What's wrong with driving on Shabbat? What, all of a sudden it's bad? You drove 6 days a week. It's bad to drive on Shabbat? You want to drive on Shabbat. You want to eat milk and meat. You want to steal. You want to do all the bad things. But what can I do that my Father in heaven said no? That's the truth. The truth is that the Torah is not something to tell you that, no, all of a sudden everything is bad. No, it's bad because it's against Hashem. It's not that driving is bad. Driving, you have to drive. You have to go from place to place. Driving is bad when it's against Hashem. Making money is not bad. It's making money against Hashem. That's bad. When you sacrifice your Torah to go make money, that's bad. Now everyone says, no, I could work and I could learn at the same time. The reality is it's very difficult. Unless you have serious atmada and a schedule and you're really dedicated to Hashem first, job second. If you think that you could mix it 50-50, you've already failed before you started. If you think that the two have the same value, you've already failed before you started. And the reason why is because in the beginning, you're like, I want to make some money. And I'm also going to learn on the side. A lot of people learn a little bit. And a lot of people make some money. So I'm going to do a mix of both. The problem is the Yetzer Hara makes you think that that's going to work. That plan is all going to work. Now, as soon as you go to work, they tell you, listen, you want a promotion? Yeah, okay, you have to work a little more then. You didn't know this when you got into it. But now you have the Hegel Zav in front of you. They tell you, listen, you're making X amount of money now. You want to make more. You want to get that house that your wife wants. You want to get married like you want. You want to get this. You want to get this. Okay, we have the opportunity for you. What? Work. Instead of 5 days a week, work 6 days a week. Instead of 9 to 5, work 9 to 9. Yeah, but I learn after that. Okay, you can either learn or you can have a house. Which one do you want? So now the Yetzer Hara says, okay, you know what? Why don't you make this money this year and next year and the year after and then go back to learning? We've already lost. We've already lost. Why? Because we think for a moment that we're the ones that are making money. We think for a moment that we need to help Hashem give us money. Hashem already decided on Rosh Hashanah how much you're going to make. It doesn't make a difference that the boss is telling you that if you do this, you're going to get a raise. It makes no difference. Yes?
How do you know where that level of Ishtadlut ends?
Ishtadlut really is based on your Emunah. How much Emunah do you have is how much Ishtadlut you make. If you have 100% Ishtadlut, then you have no Emunah. If you have 100% Emunah, then you have no Ishtadlut. So obviously there's a balance of the two.
How do you work out where, like...
The balance is that you have to make a priority list. Number one priority for a Jew is to be a Jew first, everything else second. Jew first, everything else second. HaShem has a lot of Jewish businessmen, but he has very few Jews. People that their mother is Jewish, halachically they're Jewish technically, plenty of Jewish businessmen. Jews that are kosher, we have very few, unfortunately. Why? Because very few are willing to fulfill the Torah and business at the same time. They choose one or the other, and unfortunately many of them choose business. So they work on Shabbat, or they do business on Shabbat, or they do business that's not necessarily a Jewish business type of deal. And all types of, they sell HaShem out for a few dollars. Eventually, the few dollars became more and more, and the Yetzirah grows and grows and grows. And Hashem Yirachem, it get to a point where it says at the end of Parashat Vayetchanan, that Hashem pays the wicked cash to their face. Meshalem lerasha el panav le'avido. He gives them cash to their face. Meaning, Hashem decides, as the Rambam says in Ilchot Tshuva, I don't want to do Tshuva. Here's the money. Here's the reward. You made a few mitzvot, you gave some tzedakah, you did some things, good things in your life. Here's the money for it. I don't want to see you ever again. Worst punishment a person could get in this world, as Hashem decides, I don't want him. This, I was this close from. This, a lot of people are really close to. Why? Because we sell Hashem out for $5. If somebody tells you, listen, let's go make a deal now, and you're in the middle of learning, you should know 100%. It's a 100% test. He tells you, listen, you can do some things right now, I'll give you $100 an hour. You say yes, Hashem says, oh, because Torah is only worth $100. Yetzirah is going to say, oh, it's only worth 100, I'll give him 200. Tomorrow he's not even going to show up. Yetzirah has a lot of money. So the first thing is, Rabotai, is you have to remember, Hashem decided how much money you're going to make. You don't need to help him at all. Now, what's the proof? The proof is the rest of the story. The story goes where after everything went haywire, business went to nothing, started losing the millions, started realizing that all the millions and all the things were worthless anyway. My mom calls a strange rabbi, a strange person, wrong number. She says, call Rabbi Ephraim. Rabbi Ephraim asks her only one question. He says, does he speak Hebrew? She says, he speaks Hebrew, but he's not going to talk to you. He's not going to talk to anybody. At that very moment, I decided to call my mom. For the first time in months, because I started thinking some crazy suicidal thoughts. So I figured, let me be nice to my mom before I jump off a roof. So I called my mom, and she's crying because she's on the other line with Ephraim. So I asked her, why are you crying? She goes, talk to him, talk to him. I go, who, and why is he making you cry, this person? She said, it's Ephraim. Talk to Ephraim. He can help you. He's your cousin. I said, I'll talk to anybody. Just stop crying. Just have him call me and I'll talk to him. Rabbi Ephraim calls me. And immediately I understand that this person is very different than the people that I know. Even the rabbis that used to come to my office every week, 2-3 times a week to collect tzedakah and all other things, they weren't like this guy. He doesn't care about money at all. In fact, he hates it. There's very few people, I think, that exist in the world that actually despise money. He's one of them. Like, he finds it disgusting. The stories of Baalei Musar are extraordinary. But I think none of them is as extraordinary about money specifically that I heard as this one. The Saba Mislavotka one time came to a gvir to ask for tzedakah for his yeshivot. And he says to him, you know, he's on the line, there's a bunch of people, there was once a year, people would come to this gvir to collect money. And he gives him a sack of money. Sack of money. I'll give him a nice big bag. The rabbi after him asks for money also, and he gives him like a nice wad of money, I don't know, $10,000. So the rabbi asks him, he's like, listen, why did you give him so much more? I mean, listen, thank you very much for what you gave me. I just really want to know, what do I have to do tshuva for? Why did you give the Saba Mislabotka so much more? Is it because you think he's a Talmid Chacham more than me? Is it because he has yeshiva? I have yeshiva. Is it because he learns? I learn. Is it because what's the reason? He said, listen, you in the morning, you woke up, you were thinking you're going to come meet me. And you respect me, you want me to help you. So you groomed yourself, and you prepared yourself, and you talked to your wife about it, and you repeated what you're going to say to me, and you look good, and everything is good. Why? Because you want me to help me. You want me to help you. Meaning that you respect my money. So when I see you, it reminds me of my money. So I like my money. So you remind me of my money, so I give you some money because I like my money, so I want to keep it. When the Sab Mislavotka came to me, he's a mess. He has boots. He has mud on his shoes. He's not too worried about everything else. He's just coming here and he says to me, Zalman, Zalman, all you have in this world is money. What are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you, Zalman? All you have in this world is money. You have no mitzvot. You have no Torah. You have nothing else in this world. I don't even know if I can help you. All you have in this world is disgusting money. And he gives me a shiur that all I have is this money, and I'm starting to think, really all I have is this money, this paper. It can't help me at the time of trouble. What can I do with this money? He really reminds me at the time of need, all I really need is Hashem Yitbarach, but all I have instead of Hashem, instead of Torah, instead of mitzvot, I have money. So I'm thinking to myself, I need to help myself, I need to save myself. How can I sell myself? Here, Rabbi, you take the money, and at least I'm going to start learning Torah. At least I'm going to start doing mitzvot, at least I'm going to do something to save myself. He reminds me of what I need. You remind me of what I have. A person needs to know that when they're chasing. It's good to chase. You have to just chase the right dream, though. If you're learning Torah, you're chasing the right dream. The reason why is because Hashem brought you to the world to be a Jew. Money, parnasah, wife, house, kids, all that other stuff Hashem has to take care of. Akol midei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim. Someone that understands that sentence has to get to a level of 100% emunah, like the Baal Shem Tov, like all the tzaddikim. Like why? Because he says everything is from shamayim except yirat shamayim, meaning your parnasah, your wife, your kids, your health, tall, short, good-looking, ugly, rich, poor. Everything is from shamayim. You have nothing to do with it. What do you have to do with? Yirat shamayim, whether you're going to listen to God or not. Even your ishtadlut, of how much effort you're going to exert in whatever it is that you're going to do in the business world, is based on your emunah. Now, obviously, we're not Baal Shem Tov. We're not Rabbi Vadia. We're not these people. Fine, we're not. But you can't be Haman either. You can't be Paro either. You learn Torah in order to fulfill it. Okay, you want to work? Work. You have a 9-to-5 job? Have a 9-to-5 job. But always remember, the only reason you're working is so you can learn Torah. Not you're learning Torah so you can make more money. If you think you learn Torah so you can make more money, you're learning the wrong Torah. Torah is not a lotto ticket. Hashem is not Santa Claus. It doesn't work that way. Anyone that tells you if you learn Torah, you're going to make more money, it's not true. It's a kol mishamayim. Hashem will decide if you're going to be a millionaire or not. Hashem will decide. There's plenty of people that sell garbage, I know, make millions. There's one guy started selling junk as dog food. Junk, he started as dog food. It hit. Started making money out of it. He ended up making over $100 million from dog food. Dog food. Then I know guys that started a business with $100 million. They completely broke. Their father had a lot of money, gave them $100 million to start a business, and being broke. Zero. So the reality is, akol mishamayim. When I spoke to Rabbi Ephraim, I started realizing this. We spoke for 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'll fast forward the story a little bit because we're running out of time. The next week he called me again. We spoke for 3 hours. I started realizing that my world is really upside down. I'm more interested in what he has to say than the world around me. The next week we spoke for 5 hours. And then from that point on, every Thursday at 4 o'clock, we would learn for 7 hours straight. Now, the wife that wasn't Jewish became the biggest advocate of my learning Torah in the world. At Thursday at 4 o'clock, she closed my door to my office. She was the bodyguard. She says, no one's allowed to talk to him. No one's allowed to, nothing. Phone calls have to go to her. Everyone else in the world has to wait till tomorrow. Why? He's learning Torah. Yeah, but you're not even Jewish. Yeah, but he needs to be. All the answers that he's ever looked for, he's getting. Let him get the answers. The world has to stop on Thursday. And we talk and we learn, and everything I learned, I teach her. You start fast forwarding, we started realizing we're in a dilemma. We're starting observing mitzvot, we started keeping Shabbat. There's Gan Eden in this world. Anyone that doesn't keep Shabbat, you don't realize what you're missing out. And by keeping Shabbat, I don't mean you sleep all day. Keep Shabbat meaning you learn Torah. Keep Shabbat means it's not just food. People think that Shabbat is only about food. Just go to a restaurant and that's it. Shabbat is not just the food. There's one guy, HaShem Erachem. He has 200 people. I met him. He's here in California. He has 200-300 people in his house every week. 200-300 people every week. And he asked me, oh, listen, why don't you, come speak at my house? I said, sure, no problem. I'll come speak, no problem. No money, no nothing. I'll come speak, 200 people, sure. It's like, yeah, but listen, there's a few rules. I said, excuse me? Yeah, there's a few rules. You can't tell them mot yumat. You can't tell them they can't drive on Shabbat. You can't tell them they can't smoke on Shabbat. You can't tell them this. You can't tell them this. You can't tell them this. And by the way, most of them drive, and most of them smoke, and most of them this, and most of them this. Oh, and by the way, whatever you say, just do it in 15 minutes. Do you think I went? I didn't go. Why? It's a complete waste of time. What do you want me to tell them? Fairy tale? You want me to tell them the story of the Smurfs and Gargamel chasing them? What do you want me to tell them? Power Rangers? What do you want me to tell them? What do you want me to tell them if it's not Michalel Shabbat Mot Yumat V'Nicheta Nefesh Mikerav Hamea? What do you want me to tell them? They're all driving on Shabbat to your house. You think you're doing a mitzvah? All you have is a restaurant open on Shabbat. He thinks he's doing a mitzvah, hosting 200 people that are driving week after week to his house. It's not a mitzvah if you know they're going to continue driving. They're not keeping Shabbat. So I told him, what is this? Why are you doing this? Why can't I say? Oh, he goes, no, if you tell them they're not going to come back. I said, okay, at least they're going to keep Shabbat. At least they're going to keep Shabbat. At least they're going to be Jewish. No, but we don't know what it is. The reality is, people don't understand that our mitzvot are not an option. They're an obligation. When a person goes through the story that I did, he realizes that HaShem will send you different messages. He'll send you a short message like a WhatsApp, a text message. You're not going to answer, he's going to send you a call, a letter. You're not going to answer, he's going to show up at your house. The message gets stronger. My message was near the end. What I do is I try to save people from getting to that point. When I realized that my world's upside down and I'm living the wrong life, we started realizing we have to start doing tshuva. Little by little, my wife started doing tshuva. Little by little, we started investigating Christianity, which is what she was born. By investigating it, we found out the whole thing is fake. It's not that it's second best. It's not that it's for the other people. It's 100% idol worship. And you can prove it by just looking at their book, which you shouldn't because it's a complete waste of time. But anyway, anyone that's in the business, that knows what they're doing and knows how to decipher Tameh from Ta'ol, will see that there's a mistake in literally every single page in their book. A mistake, I'm not talking about a mistake that you have to be a big Talmid Chacham to figure out. Mistake, you just need to know the 5 books of Moses. You know it's a mistake. For example, it says how many people came down to Egypt with Yaakov Avinu? 70. How many does the New Testament say? 75. Meaning their God forgot how to count. Where's the Ma'arat HaMachpelah today? Where was it before? Always Hebron, right? They have the wrong address. They put it in the wrong place in their book. Different city. Nablus. Not even close. It's a joke. But the thing is, most people, 2 billion people, haven't checked. That's why they believe this nonsense. Wrong address, wrong numbers, wrong calculations. We started realizing there's a mistake. Little by little, we started realizing, okay, we have to do something. Baruch Hashem, we saw the movie by Rabbi Mizrahi, Torah and Science, which was the final thing for her, the final proof for her that she's going to accept Judaism on the spot. She accepted everything. We studied, we learned, we went to the Bed Din. Same day we had a chuppah and kiddushin. But the most extraordinary part of the tale is that when Hashem says, Ani Adonai Rofecha, I am God, your healer. You say it every day after Shachrit. After Shachrit, if you're not in a hurry to run out of the shul, after Alin L'Shabeach, there's a couple of things you say. Tehillim, and it says, the verse in the Torah says, I am God, your healer. If you do all of my mitzvot, I won't bring the disease on you because I'm God, your healer. This is in your Shachrit after prayer. Said at least Nusach Sfardi. So, this is in our Torah. Now Hashem, like I told you, sometimes He talks to you behind the scenes. Sometimes He shows you, hey, I'm here. So the day of our conversion, what no one knew except her and I is that I have another infection. It's extremely painful, and I have to go to the hospital. Right after instead of going to have the chuppah, I have to go to the emergency room. It's probably the biggest infection I ever had. And these infections kept growing and growing and growing until either I had a surgery or Hashem Yirachem, something worse would happen. It's like having a cancer cell that doubles in size every day. So I had one of those. It was extremely painful, but I was too excited because my wife was now going to become a righteous Jew. Kisui rosh, mitpachat, tzniut, everything, mamash, overnight. Unbelievable. Not really overnight, but the point is that we accepted everything. Everything we need to know. We're already in it for a couple of years by then. Now all I know is that immediately when she finishes, I need to go to the emergency room and Bezat Hashem hopefully survive. We have the test. The Bet Din asks the questions. She passes the test with flying colors. They say now it's time to go to the mikveh. She goes to the mikveh. My pain stops. Instantly. Now at this point I'm so excited about the conversion, I'm not really asking too many questions of why did my pain stop. I don't really care. It stopped. Who's going to complain? But after she comes back, we're so excited. We're like, wow, it's amazing. Wow, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. There's a picture. We had a Skype session between us and Rabbi Reuven to tell him the good news and so on. And you see there's the sun is shining on our faces. It's something unbelievable. I don't know how. Don't ask me for explanations for such things. All I know is what I saw, and I could show it to you. And I also know that my pain stopped. Now, as soon as she comes out, she goes, okay, so we're going to the hospital? I said, no. She goes, why? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm not in pain. If I'm not in pain, I'm not going to the hospital. Let's go have a chuppah right now. I have to go to a chuppah, we do kiddushin, that's it. We have to be married today. Why? Because we live together. There's no time to waste. She's not going to move to a different apartment. We have to be kosher. Kosher, if you're going to be kosher, 100%. 99% kosher is 100% tarif. 99% truth is 100% lie. So, we go to the hotel to get dressed, and I go into the shower to change clothes, to take a shower. I take off my clothes, and I see something unusual. What's unusual? My whole body is full of blood. Full of blood. The infection, apparently there was a surgery, I just wasn't aware of it. There was a surgery, I just wasn't aware of it. Surgery happened, the infection is out completely. Ishtabach Shemo La'ad. Hashem did something. No hospital, no infection, no nothing. And it wasn't a illusion. It wasn't a something. There's blood everywhere. Now, if you don't believe it, it's your problem. I know what I saw. My wife saw also, because it was everywhere. It's just the clothes were full of it. It's just, again, you don't feel it because you have the suit on, everything else, tzitzit, everything else. You just feel like there's something unusual. You don't really know what's going on. Maybe it's sweat, it's really hot outside, who knows? The last thing you think is that you're full of blood. So, you didn't go to a war. Nobody shot you. But that's what happened. Hashem says, Ani Adonai Rofecha. I'm God, your healer. You want to heal? Do what I said. At that moment, we realized even more so, Hashem runs the show. At that point, we continued becoming more and more religious, dedicating more and more time to Torah, less and less to business. Business became really immaterial to us. We just cared less about it, even though the money continued deteriorating. By the time we got down to only about $500,000, which in comparison to what we used to have was nothing, I was already starting to give Shulei Torah. Started because my rabbi told me, listen, Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah says, if you're learning Torah without an intention to teach it, it's like someone who doesn't have a God. Because you're supposed to learn Torah to emulate Hashem, to learn His midot. His number one midah that's obvious is that He gives. So how are you going to take the Torah, the number one thing in all of creation, and not share it? Teach students. You don't have students, teach your family. You don't have a family, teach yourself. You have to teach somebody. Torah is not just for you to keep. So you have to share it. I said, I don't know anything. It was okay. So anything that you don't know and anything you do know, combine it together and teach them that. Whatever you can, teach something. Learn Parashat Shavua, teach that. Teach something. Am Yisrael needs to do tshuva. Basics is what we need in this generation. Parashat Shavua. You think most people know Parashat Shavua? They don't know Parashat Shavua. They learned it when they were like, even I'm talking about frum people. I'm not talking about really secular. Frum people learned Parashat Shavua when they were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. I tell people Parashat Shavua sometimes with Rashi, like, wow, it's chidush. What chidush? It's Rashi. I haven't gone over it in 15, 20 years. When you learn Torah as a 20 or 25 or 30 or 35-year-old, it's very different than learning when you were 5, 10, or 15. Your brain is different. You understand something different. So basics are a necessity. That means that everybody can teach Torah. Everybody, especially you guys that are learning Torah. You don't need to give chidushim. Chidushim is not really for most people in this generation. New insights, the new, thinking you're the new Rashi, new Rambam, new Tosfot, you don't need to be. You just know basic Parashat Shavua, you know Musar, you know how to read, you can teach Torah. That's what the generation needs. So we started teaching. Baruch Hashem, we started getting people to keep Shabbat. We started getting people to do tshuva. And Hashem wanted to make sure that we know what He wants. He says, listen, this business you have that's making you a few dollars a month and you have $500,000 still, it's really a distraction. So I'm going to take that too. One day at 9:30 in the morning, I have my money, I have some clients' money, everything looks good. By 9:36, some crazy anomaly, which is called a black swan in the business terms, happens. Literally, everything is gone. Trade goes wrong. My value of whatever I had left goes to zero. This, in almost 20-year career, has never happened to me. It doesn't happen to most people. It happened on that day. But that day happened to be a Tuesday. On Tuesdays, I have my Shiur Torah. So at 9:35, I lost all the money that was left. At 9:36, the computer was turned off. At 9:37, I said, Hashem Natan, Hashem Lakach, Yishem Hashem Evorach. God gave, God took, may His name be blessed. At 9:38, I started learning Torah because I have to prepare for my Shiur. Why? I'm not Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm not even the dust under His foot. But I do know who runs the show. It's God. If God wanted me to have the money, I'll have the money. If He doesn't, that means it's bad for me. If He wanted you to be rich, you'd be rich. You don't need to help Him. What He does want from you, it's the same thing He wanted from me. He wants you to learn, He wants you to teach. You don't know enough to teach, focus more on learning. A year, 2 years, 3 years, have an intention, have a plan to teach somebody. You're scared of talking in public and so on, me too. But I know that when they paid me in the business world for 20 years to talk in public, I did it. I overcame the fear. Why? Because it was money. For money, we do everything. Hashem says, I also pay cash. I also pay. Just different level of cash. It's eternal cash. So if we remember where the source of all blessing is, all of a sudden we start overcoming fear. All of a sudden the responsibilities, the obligations, the Yetzirah, we can start beating him. Because we're playing with the right tools. You boys have Torah. You have eternity. You think that they have anything? When you say every day, Birkot HaShachar, Shelo Hasani Goy, who are you referring to? The homeless guy in the street in San Francisco? Does I have a house that's no. You're supposed to be referring to the best of them. Shelo Hasani Goy is referring to the best of them. If you think it's Trump, then it's Trump. If you think it's whoever it is him. The best of them, the richest of them, the best looking of them. The best of them, Baruch Hashem, that I'm not him. Baruch HaShem that I'm not him. Why? I have Torah. Torah is eternity. When the Arabs pray, they pray in the middle of the street. In New York, they pray in the middle of the street every day. They close off the streets for them to pray. They close off the streets. When they pray in the airport, they pray in the street. Everybody thinks this guy's going to blow up the plane. But the reality is, he doesn't care what they think. With his little magic carpet in the middle of the street. Why? He's proud. I'm jealous of him. I'm jealous of the Arabs. Why? They're proud. They have falsehood, and they're proud of their falsehood. The Christians, they open a church with 5,000 members in every corner. Yesterday there was a fair next to my brother's house. There's some church maybe, I don't know, a mile away. People were like literally coming out. They had a whole Luna Park, a whole type of thing. I mean, just the show they had probably cost $500,000. People are filling in. They have food and this and theatrics. Well, it's like a circus outside of their church. To raise money for them, easy. Why? Every single one of them knows that to give 10%, which they call tithe, which to us is maaser, it's the minimum requirement. Not, doesn't make you a tzaddik. It's the minimum requirement. Why? Because they're proud of their falsehood. They go door to door. Sir, do you know J.C. Penney? Let us show you. Let us tell you about him. Yeah, but I'm Jewish. Okay, so we'll teach you about the Jewish version. They go door to door with their idolatry, with their avodah zarah, caring less if it has a mezuzah or anything else. Why? They're proud of their falsehood. We, Rabotai, have the truth. But we play like we have falsehood. We're ashamed. We're embarrassed. We pray in the airport in the corner so no one sees. We pray in the corner so no one sees. In the corner, I don't want to bother them. What bothered them? Why are you bothering them having a tefillin on? Somebody asks you, what is this? See, this is what the Mashiach is going to look like. This is what the Mashiach is going to look like with the beard and the hat and the tefillin on his head. That's what the Mashiach is going to look like. What do you think? He's going to look like the sauté you have as a god, the J.C. Penney, that's the Mashiach. What do you think? It's going to be Muhammad that kills people for fun? This is what the Mashiach is going to look like with the tefillin on his head. You could say it in a nicer way, but the point is, Rabotai, be proud. You have to be proud. You're a Jew. You have Torah. You have mitzvot. Stop playing scared. You're the one that has the truth. They pray in the middle of the street. We're barely willing to go to shul sometimes. You tell people, teach Torah. No, but what if they say they don't like it? Did Hashem say, oh, listen, teach only if they like it? Teach only if they're going to listen to you? Every single one of the prophets gave a message that no one wanted to listen to, including Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara in Moed Katan says that Moshe Rabbeinu got to a point that all of Am Yisrael thought that he's stealing their wives. Stealing their wives. Moshe Rabbeinu took them out of Egypt. Everybody's like, oh, he's taking out wives. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu left his wife because he wanted to be next to Hashem 24/7. Hashem says you can't be with your wife at the same time. So Moshe Rabbeinu understood it in his own level that I can't be with my wife intimately anymore. So everyone says, oh, Moshe Rabbeinu, he's left his wife. Why? Because he's going maybe after our wives. Why would they think such a thing? It's because the wives are listening to him and not us. When Am Yisrael asked their wives, give us your gold so we can make Egel HaZahav, the golden calf, the wives said, no, I'm keeping my earrings. Go get your own gold. But when Moshe Rabbeinu says, give me your jewelry, give me your mirrors, give me something for the tabernacle that we're building, all the women gave. They're given to our rabbi, but they're not given to us. Probably he's with them or something. Something's wrong with this. He dealt with this. Moshe Rabbeinu dealt with people not wanting the message. You think you're not going to deal with it? But that's the point, Rabotai. Every single one of the prophets had to deal with people going against them. That's how you know you have the truth. People are going to go against you. So Rabotai Kareem, I know it's easy to like the material world. I was in it. Money, houses, the whole gas behind it, the whole thing around it, all fancy schmancy. This guy has another house, and he's building an extension to his house, and there's another floor, and there's another car, and there's more jewelry, and all these different things. But Shlomo HaMelech already told us it's all nonsense. I'm telling you it's all nonsense. I'm telling you it's the same thing. Why? I lived it. I saw it. And at the time of need, all of you are going to pray for what you have today. At the time of need. when you really need someone to listen, when you really need someone to feel, when you really need someone to help, when you really need anything, only Hashem can help you. If you have His Torah, He's going to say, you asked, I'm here. You asked, I'm here. Why? Because you made my house your house. You made your house my house. I'm there. But if we treat Torah like it's a Harry Potter book, and we just read whenever we like, and we do whenever we like, and we take the business world and the money world and the material world as, as priority over money, over our Torah, then Hashem says, okay, it's more important. You go look for help over there. Don't sell Hashem. Because we have many Jewish businessmen, but we have very few Jews. Be the Jew. The business will come to you anyway. And that's why today, despite the fact that we lost all of the money we had, Baruch Hashem, we live much better, without an exaggeration, than any other time in my life. I don't know where the money's coming from. People donate in different ways, different times, and so on and so forth, but I don't know how much. All I know is that whatever we need, we buy. When I go to the supermarket, we just buy whatever we need. I have no idea how, who, what, when, and where. No clue. All I know is get whatever we need. I saw my rabbi do it. This is what I do. When I went to Israel, I saw my rabbi shopping for Shabbat. He said, bring a cart. I said, but you already have one. He goes, exactly. I said, okay, somebody else come? He goes, yeah, you and Hashem and everybody else. So I said, okay, fine. Now, he doesn't shop like us. What does he do? He sees something on a thing that he likes or somebody likes. Instead of taking one or two, maybe looking at the price, something like that, he does this. He goes this, to the aisle, and he just pours it into the cart. He gets bread with 2 arms. It's unbelievable. You would think 500 people are showing up. You would think he makes, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000 a day. I didn't shop like this when I had millions. And I'm like, wow, what is he doing? What's going on here? Now, I thought this was like a joke, maybe a one-time thing, but I was there for 2 months. It's every week. And he buys. And where's the money come from? We have no idea. So I saw this with my own eyes, and he's filling up his cart, and he finished his cart, so he starts filling up my cart. I said, no, but I don't want it. He goes, I do. And he buys, and why? It's for Kvod Shabbat. Shabbat's coming. I said, okay. Does he eat Shabbat? Because, yeah, he eats. Have the Kvod Shabbat. So he gets the food, and Shabbat over there is unbelievable. And I'm seeing this. It's like a sight to me. It's unbelievable. And I just see him shopping and shopping and shopping as if there's 500 people and nobody's showing up except us, my wife and I. And there's 2 babies. What do we have? Nothing. We barely eat. But Shabbat, Gan Eden. Why? Hashem's there. Mamash, Hashem's there. And you feel it. So I see him, and so we go to the cashier. Now I have some money on me, so I'm thinking, okay, he makes $500 a month off the Kollel. What does he make? So the shopping here that we just bought is maybe $1,000. Meaning that the Kollel isn't paying for half of what the shopping is every week. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna be, before there's any busha, I'm already starting to grab some credit cards. So he gives the card to the teller. It goes through. I have no idea what just happened. We leave. It's like, Baruch Hashem. I said, what happened? He goes, you just witnessed a miracle. I said, what miracle? He goes, it went through. He goes, what do you mean it went through? What do you mean it's a miracle? You didn't know you have it? He goes, no. How would I know what I have in the bank? He goes, you think I spend any time looking at my bank? That's Emunah, Rabotai. I saw it, I'm trying to do it. I saw it, I'm trying to do it. This is how we live. We don't charge for lectures because we don't want money to get in the way of Kodesh. Someone wants to donate, bechavod. You don't want to donate, doesn't make a difference anyway. Hashem pays the bills. We have a need, we buy it. How? I have no idea. What I'm trying to tell you, Rabotai, is you don't need to help Hashem with Parnasah. What you need to help is you need to help yourself with some Torah. You need to learn some more, and some more, and some more, and some more, and eventually use it, utilize it to teach Am Yisrael, because Am Yisrael is still there, far away. Teach them. Get them over here. Instead of there being 10, 20 guys, may there be 200. Show them how beneficial it is to learn from Hashem. Show them how good it is. Why? Because when you have Torah, you have everything. All of a sudden, your brain works the right way. All of a sudden, you understand the reason for your problems. The Torah doesn't solve your problems. It gives you a reason behind them. Problems don't go away. You just know why, though. You know where it's coming from. When someone asks you, where was God during the Holocaust? You tell them, what do you mean? He was right there pressing the button. That's what it says in Parashat Bechukotai. It says in Parashat Kitavo. It says in the Torah, in Bechukotai telechu, you do what I say, everything's going to be good. 13 verses of blessings. You don't do good. 48 blessings, 48 curses. 48 things of what's going to happen. And you see through the verses exactly the description of what happened in the Holocaust. He even says that the enemy will have a symbol of an eagle. The Nazis didn't have a power outside of God. It was God himself pushing the buttons. Same thing with the Egyptians, same thing with the Romans, same thing with everything else. So, Rabotai Yekarim, what you're doing right now is pikuach nefesh. What you're doing right now to finalize everything we just talked about is pikuach nefesh. Don't think that money is pikuach nefesh. Money is not pikuach nothing. What you're doing right now is pikuach nefesh. You're saving lives. Number one, you save yourself. You save yourself by learning Torah, Parashat Shavua, Gemara, Tosfot, everything, Shulchan Aruch, and so on and so forth. The rabbi is teaching you an enormous amount of Torah. Every second you learn, you're saving yourself. Second thing is you start teaching it to your family, to your friends, to anyone that would listen, and even if they don't want to listen. Why? Because you're saving their life. And when your friend is standing on the train tracks, and the train is coming, at the very least, be a friend. Tell him, hey, buddy, get out of the way. The train's coming. If he's still driving on Shabbat, if he still thinks he's the one making money, if he still has a safek about who, what, when, and how in regards to creation, by you teaching him Torah, you're saving his life. What you're doing is much more important than any doctor in the world, any lawyer in the world, any executive in the world, anything in the world. Why? You have the truth and you can save people with it. So Be'ezrat Hashem, this gives all of us a little bit of chizuk to start taking our Torah seriously and realize this is where the gold is. This is where the prize is. There's nothing in the world better. Not in an illusion, not in theory, not in reality, not in anywhere. Right here, it's the best place in the world. Be'ezrat Hashem, we start living that way, we start fulfilling Hashem's will, and may Hashem's name be blessed forever and ever. Any questions? Go ahead. Same price.
I apologize for
Ken.
silly the question maybe. I understand that the number one commandment for men is to learn Torah. Right?
Ken.
You were saying that if we are learning Torah, the purpose of that is that we need to teach
Ken.
to other people. But at the same time, there is this responsibility, like if you teach something wrong, all the sins of the people that you teach, they are going to be like yours. So they are going to be considered like you did sin. So it's an example. I'm just saying, you know my background, I come from like conservative kind of.
Yeah.
So I was teach like some other stuff, like, and it's an example. I say like, all right, that's what is right, and I teach it like that. I'm making a sin. And even like in the Orthodox world, I understand that you say like no to wigs, right? But there are like a lot of rabbis that say like, oh no, you need to wear a wig. So what I'm saying is like, how do you know when you can start teaching? Because this is the thing. I mean, I'm afraid of Hashem. You know, like that he can say like, you are making my sons to make a sin. So that's worse than even no teaching. Does that make any sense?
Right. So the answer to that is, first off, is Reshit Chochmah Yirat Hashem. The beginning of wisdom is fear of Hashem. So having fear of Hashem already is half the battle. So the fact that you're afraid is gonna ensure that you're gonna double check everything before you start teaching it. That's number one. Second thing is, don't teach anything you don't know for sure. Unless you know for sure. Meaning you could actually look with your eyes and see that the basic commentary says this is what it is. Rashi says this. Rambam says this. This is what it is. In essence, all you're doing is you're reading it. Only teach if you know for sure. If you don't know for sure, don't say a word. Don't say, I think, it should, none of that. Second thing is, use the least amount of your opinion as you possibly can. Preferably zero opinion. Your opinion is worth zero, just like my opinion is worth zero. All we care about is Hashem's opinion. As soon as we start putting our opinion into the Torah, we ruin it. We ruin it. So use less opinion, more Hashem's opinion. So there's fear, there's less opinion, there's only doing things that you know for sure. And in regards to anyone that teaches wrong, the reality is it's because they're either not careful or because they don't care. Whatever the case may be, in a conservative, reform, and all of those people, they know the truth. They just choose otherwise. Now, Bezat Hashem, even they will do tshuva, and whoever doesn't, there's enough room in Gehenom for them too. But the point is, Rabotai, is that the reality is that you have an opportunity to learn the Torah in a very simple way. Why? It's given to you. In the old days, you had to travel to a different town to get somebody that has a book, stay at his house for 2-3 months until you finish the book, and then go home. Today, you need anything, it's a phone call away, it's a button away, it's a book away, everything is accessible. So to get the truth is very, very simple. Now, when you're getting books, make sure that the book comes from a kosher publisher. When you have a rabbi, make sure the rabbi is a kosher rabbi. So it's, Baruch Hashem, there's plenty of ways to verify everything in the world. And just like you would double check a deal for $1 million 50 times before you do it, check what you're going to say 50 times before you do it. Because there's a consequence to it, like you said. So if you were going to buy a house, you would double check, you would do an inspection, you would send somebody for a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, a fifth opinion. You double check an investment. Same thing with Torah. You have something that says, make sure that that's what it says. Double check with your rabbi. Is this what he means? Is this what it says? Double check. Once you know for sure that's what it means, that's the pshat, that's the simple meaning, publicize it to the rest of the world. And again, when you limit it and it has no opinion, you're already deducting 90% of the errors that happen. Usually the errors happen because we use our opinion, because we think our opinion actually matters. We think that our opinion is very valuable. And the reality is that people's opinions are what has ruined the Torah over the last 3,000 years. Korach had an opinion. He had an opinion. He said, listen, there's a house full of Sifrei Torah. So that's more valuable than having a mezuzah on the wall. Moshe Rabbeinu says, logically it makes sense, but that's not Hashem's rule. We still have to have a mezuzah. Korach said, I don't agree with it. Yeah, it's your opinion. It's your opinion. Your opinion is irrelevant. So don't use your opinion. Use what Chachamim say, what Hashem Yitbarach said, and you'll stay out of trouble that way. Next question.
Question about, you said you battled for 7 years in excruciating pain.
Okay.
And after 7 years you met with Ephraim, but for those 7 years, what kept you going?
Well, I mean, one was false illusion that it was going to be over. I never thought that it was going to be 7 years. When I first started, I thought that this is it. The first 2 months were over, so I figured, okay, it's gone.
That's 3 years already.
Right. Then after 2 years, of it going, and then 3 years of going through it, I started realizing, okay, this is not going away, but hopefully the next surgery. So I always had this false sense of hope that, we're going to find our solutions. That we kept going to different doctors. And we kept trying different things. We tried doing different things, tried donating money, doing brachot, praying here and there, doing different things, putting in essence a bandage on a heart attack, and trying to fix it in different ways. But after 7 years, I gave up. After 7 years, I didn't want to go to doctors anymore. I didn't want to take any medicine anymore that I didn't have to. And I got to a point of being completely hopeless. So for that my hope, my false sense of hope lasted that long because I kept going to different things, trying new things. So, okay, so the first 30 doctors weren't good. Okay, number 31 is that's the Mashiach. So you go to the 31. 31 doesn't work, you go to 32. The Yetzer Hara is going to come to you 2,000 times. 2,000 times going to come to you to make you make a sin. Now, if he fails 2,000 times, what does he do? Another 2,000 times. He doesn't finish. Yetzer Hara is going to give you a false sense of hope as much as possible. That's why it says, "Kol midei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim." Everything is from Hashem except fear of Hashem. You doing the right thing or the wrong thing, that's in your hands. Everything else is in the hands of Hashem. Yetzer Hara is going to try to make you do the wrong thing constantly. Only you can decide, okay, this is wrong, I shouldn't do it. And that's it. That's tshuva. Tshuva is for all of us. Everybody has to do tshuva to some extent. Some people for Shabbat, some people for Tarat Mishpacha, some people for their eyes, some people for wasting seed, some people for 1.5 million different things. There's a lot of things we need to do tshuva. And the reality is today is that tshuva is not easy at all, but it's necessary. Nothing good in the world is easy. Emunah is not easy. Talking about Emunah is nice. It's enjoyable. There's good stories. Developing Emunah is very difficult. And the reason why is because there's two ways that you need to learn Emunah. One is from books, or from the rabbis, and two is from experience, meaning a nightmare experience. That's how you learn Emunah. You don't learn Emunah purely from books. You can read books from here until the world ends. You're not going to develop full Emunah from books. Emunah is developed through experience. That's why Hashem says to the prophet, Ani Adonai melamdecha le'oil. I am God that teaches you to help you. What do you mean teaches you to help you? What other reason would you teach me? Meaning he's teaching you through these difficult experiences. He's teaching you Emunah. You didn't have a car and you didn't believe you're going to get a car, and now you have a car. But you had to go through a whole journey to finally get the car. What was the whole journey for? Why didn't Hashem just give you the car right away? Because he wanted you to learn that eventually there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Don't lose hope so quickly. When Rabbi Akiva and his wife Rachel, all they had to their name was kash, was straw. They felt bad for themselves. Hashem said, Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi shows up as a poor man. He says, excuse me, we need some kash, we need some straw. We had a baby. You happen to have any straw? He says, oh, straw we have. They have nothing else. All they have is straw. So they give him straw. Here's a sack of straw. They give him straw. So Chachamim ask, if you're already sending Eliyahu Navi, why just selling Eliyahu Navi with like a check for $1 million? You know that they need. You know that they're poor. They feel bad about themselves. If you already know, give Eliyahu Navi. You already sent them. He already went through the whole journey of coming. Send him with a check for a nice, cool $1 million, or maybe a box full of diamonds or something. Why are you sending him? Asking for cash? Asking for straw? What kind of Eliyahu Navi is this? If Eliyahu Navi came with a check, it would only solve the problem temporarily. Because the problem is not the money. The problem is that until that day, we didn't know how to be happy. Until that day, we thought that someone that is a shir, someone that's rich, has a lot of money. What Hashem was trying to teach Rabbi Akiva is, Ezeu ashir, asameach bechelko. Who's rich? Happy with a share. You weren't happy with the straw? Now I'll show you somebody that doesn't even have the straw. And it'll remind you that the straw is very valuable. That's ashir. That's rich. Be happy with what you have. Be happy with what you have. The only reason why Hashem gave you ambition to want more is not so you can want more money or more houses or more cars. It's to want more Torah. That's the ambition. Ambition is supposed to be used for that. Now again, some people have the bracha, like Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, that Hashem makes them very rich materially, or Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, that Hashem made them very rich materially. His maaser, like did the math, was worth about $1.2 billion every year. He was very, very rich. But the point is, that's not because they worked overtime and a second job and a third job, and they didn't see their family for months at a time, and they had a few careers going. No, it's because they dedicated their life to Torah, and Hashem made the rest of the world around them work. And he wanted them to have money too. Meaning that if Hashem wants you to be rich, it has nothing to do with your job. And I know it's difficult to believe. I know. But that's the point of the story. The point of the story is not just the terrible experience of pain and agony. The point of the story is that despite all the money in the world, it was worthless when it didn't have any bracha. But if you're learning Torah, you're guaranteeing yourself every dollar you have in your pocket has bracha. Once it has bracha, that dollar can extend to be $1 million. The $50 sometimes people give me for a lecture, 3-4 hours you talk, they give you $50. That $50 I can carry it for the entire Shabbat. How? I have no idea. But at the same token, if I have shopping and the shopping says, oh sir, it's $450 for one day, the same card works also. How? Hashem runs the world. That's the point of the Torah that you're learning, Rabotai. Hashem runs the world. Not the job, not Wall Street, not the banks, not the mortgage company. Hashem runs the world. The more we realize that, the easier life becomes. The more successful you become in everything you do. In Torah, in mitzvot, and even in business. Why? Because now you're going in the right direction. Now you're doing your role, and you're letting Hashem do His role. You're not going into His business. When people they're trying to help Hashem, they're trying to get a second job, they're trying to work overtime, they're trying to do all these wheeling and dealing to do extra, What is it like? It's like me going into somebody else's business and telling them, hey, by the way, I don't like the way you're selling stuff. I don't like this. I don't like this. Hey, sir, it's not your business, it's my business. Mind your business. Get out of my store. When we're asking Hashem all these questions, no, and trying to help him with extra jobs and extra time and extra dedication, we're going into his business and he's trying to tell you, hey, get out of my store. This is not your business. Mind your business. Go learn some Mishnayot. Go learn some Shulchan Aruch. Go learn how to be a Jew first. Then you can talk to him about how to run my shop. Go learn how to be a Jew. Go learn how to do your job. And that's what we have to focus on, Rabotai. We have to learn how to do our job. How do you know you're doing a good job? When you're so excited about it, you're advertising it to the whole world. That's how you know. Because when you love what you do, you can't help yourself. You have to advertise it. When Torah is coming out of your lips non-stop, you're non-stop. Anyone you see, listen, this Parashat Shavuot, come. I don't know what Parashat I have to have a meeting. Okay, 5 minutes. No, the whole Parashat in 5 minutes. I'll give you halacha. I'll give you something. Just when you're oozing divrei Torah, then you know you're doing a good job. Why? Because you're living it. But you're just learning. It's by yourself. No one knows you're learning. No one even knows you're Jewish because sometimes you can't tell the difference. Sometimes the Muslim, the Jew, everybody looks the same sometimes. The guy's embarrassed to put a kippah on. He puts a kippah in his pocket. Only when he goes to shul puts the kippah on. Why are you embarrassed? The Muslim's not embarrassed. The Christian's not embarrassed. The other Ovdei Avodah Zarah are not embarrassed. How come you're embarrassed? So when you're telling people, hey, this is what Hashem said, you're constantly telling people, your wife, your friends, you're this, you're that. All you want to talk about is Hashem. Sipurei tzadikim and halachot and mishnayot and all the different things. Instead of talking about the basketball players and the baseball players and the football players, and this guy makes this much money and this guy makes that much money, and the politics are this way, and Trump should do this, and Trump should do that, and who cares what you think about what they should do? Everybody talks about politics like their opinion matters. What do you think, Trump's going to stop because, Steve said I should fire my Secretary of Treasury? Who cares? People spend their whole lives talking about things that have no effect anyway. Oh, I think that the Fed chair should increase rates. Who cares what you think anyway? What do you think, the Fed chairman is going to, oh yeah, you know what? Steve said I should increase rates. I'm going to increase rates, guys. We're going to have a meeting, emergency meeting. Steve, in the middle of California, said I should increase rates. Why are you even talking about it? What purpose does it serve? Oh yeah, LeBron James just signed a $50 million contract. Is he paying your bills? Where do you care how much money he makes? People that talk about other people's money, it's the lowest form of conversation. Who cares about how much he makes? Why do you care? Is he paying your bills? If you were broke, is he going to send you a check in the mail? Hey, listen, I'll help you out because you talked about my salary last year. And you watched a few games on ESPN. Who cares how much he makes? These are nonsensical conversations that the Yetzer Hara puts in your head. Waste time, waste time, waste time, waste time, waste time, waste time. Waste time. Why? Because when you waste time, that means you're not learning Torah. You're not learning Torah, you're not killing the Yetzer Hara. You're not killing the Yetzer Hara, he's winning. You have Torah. You have Torah. You know what it means to have Torah? There's 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion. People in the world. It's not really 8 billion. It's like a rounding. It's like 7.92 billion, meaning they round off like 80 million. Which means that the 20 million Jews we know of is not even a rounding error. It's not even a rounding error. Okay, now out of the 20 million Jews, only about 3 million keep Shabbat, unfortunately. Only 3 million. Out of the 3 million that keep Shabbat, a relatively small percentage actually know Torah. For those people, Hashem runs the world. You have 8 billion people in the world, just filling up space. 20 million, he wants them to do everything. They don't always listen. Out of the 20 million, 3 million do some stuff. Out of the 3 million, only a few are superstars. You're in the Kollel, you're one of those superstars. The world is created for you, and you're thinking you should talk about LeBron James or Trump or any of these other people that are just filling up space. It's like a guy that has a castle full of diamonds, but he wants to go play with sand. For what? You have Torah. You're the superstar. You are the superstar. What are you wasting your time talking about these people? Go spread the news. Go recruit other people. Go tell, hey, listen, stop filling up space. Stop filling up space. And that's why the Gemara in Masechet Pesachim says that someone's Am Haaretz doesn't know Torah. Really, according to HaShem, he shouldn't be allowed to eat meat. Why? The cow is fulfilling its role in the world. He's not. The cow is better than him. He shouldn't be allowed to eat the cow. Be'emet, that's what Torah says. That's what Torah says. Someone who doesn't learn Torah should not be allowed to eat meat. We still allow it, halacha, but in reality, according to Hashem, he shouldn't be allowed to eat the cow. Why? Cow is better than him. You have Torah. You have Torah. Do you know what it means? You have Torah. You learn Torah 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Whatever you learn every day, you are part of the few that Hashem runs the world for. If that's not something to celebrate and run in the middle of the street, jumping around, yay, what is? What is? You understand? That's what you have to wake up every day and remind yourself. When you say, Baruch Ata Hashem, Shelo Asani Goy, that's what you're saying. Baruch Ata Hashem, that I'm one of the few that learns Torah nonstop. Be'ezrat Hashem, this will give you enough power to continue learning, continue teaching. Be'ezrat Hashem, all of you become big Talmidei Chachamim, big teachers. Atzlacha rabba b'chol ma'aseh yedechem, parnasa tova, refuah shlema, chaim arukim, shlemim, meleim Torah, mitzvot, gmilut chasadim. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.